Yesterday we talked about the new update except the new legendary items. Even without the new essences, this patch is really good, but as you can imagine, new legendaries open up possibilities for new builds for each class. For example, Demon Hunters now can play like Team Fortress 2 engineers, and Blood Knight's going to have a faster primary attack speed. So today we will go over the new items we are going to get. Since we are talking about the new build possibilities, after the update goes live, I will be live streaming back-to-back days to try out new builds on the training grounds. This way we will be able to see which builds are actually performing the best. I am thinking about starting with Blood Knight since it's the newest class, but after that I will visit all other classes. So if you want to be part of these streams, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can get notifications. Now let's take a look at the new legendary items we are going to get. And I will start with Blood Knight. First we have a main hand called Cruel Vendetta, Shadow's Edge damage increased by 20%. Next we have a chess piece. Shroud of Night now conjures 2 immobile shadowy operations that utilize your primary attack to assault nearby enemies. And after that we have a Helm Essence. Mephitic Cloud releases a blood red mist to choke enemies to death, continually dealing damage to enemies within the area while also increasing your damage done while you remain inside. And next we have an offhand called Mooncall. Shadow's Edge also increases your primary attack speed by 10% for 2 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. And next we have a shoulders called Torture and Torment. Swarm of Bats now causes a small swarm of bats to circle you. When you use a primary attack, a bat swoops down and bites enemies. And lastly we have a Pants Essence. Mephitic Cloud also increases your primary attack speed by 30%. These new legendaries for Blood Knight mainly focuses on primary attacks. This will open up possibilities for new dungeon builds based on primary attacks. Other than that, Mooncall Offhand might be the new best in slot additional offhand for PvP. Next we have Necromancer, and let's start with the chest essence. Bone Wall conjures the Altar of Death, increasing your damage while you remain within the area. I am not sure if this essence is going to increase the summon damage as well, but we are gonna see. Next we have a Pants essence. Bone Wall now also protects nearby summons, reducing the damage they take from monsters by 20% and players by 70%. Next we have a Shoulders essence called Flame of Forever. Borrowed Time also increases the damage and critical hit chance of the target by 5%. This effect is doubled during the duration of the curse if the target is slain. And next we have essence called Mortuard. Command Golem's presence bolsters the power of your nearby summons, increasing the damage they deal by 10% as long as they remain near the golem. Next we have a main hand essence called No Rest No Peace. When command skeletons die, they grant nearby allies 20% increased attack speed for 3 seconds. And finally we have a new offhand. Skeleton Mage now summons a Dark Magus that unleashes Hungering Soul Fire at nearby enemies. A lot of people were asking for Borrowed Time nerfs, but that is not going to happen in this update. Flame of Forever Shoulders might look good at first, but since it's on the shoulder spot, it's not going to be used that much because shoulders have really important essences already. And this is not better than those. Other than that, new essences for summons looks interesting as well. I can't wait to try all of them. Now let's talk about Demon Hunter. We have an essence called Dancing in Place for Pants. Knife Trap now becomes Snare Trap. When triggered, the Snare Trap deals damage to all nearby enemies, while also immobilizing them and preventing the use of dash skills for 3 seconds. Next we have a main ant essence called Elegant Retribution. Sentry can now upgrade up to 3 times when placed nearby other sentries, increasing the damage they deal up to 200% and reducing the damage they take by up to 66%. Next we have a shoulder essence called Forest Scream. Knife Trap cooldown decreased by 15%. Next we have a chest essence. Knockback Shot can now be charged, firing a condensed blast of hatred, dealing damage to enemies in its path. Charging longer increases the range and the damage. Next we have a Helm essence called Horns of the Hunt. Escape now also leaves caltrops behind, slowing and damaging enemies within the area while also preventing the use of dash skills. And finally we have an offhand essence called Widow's Bite. Sentry now also consumes 5% of your current life to apply a shield to Sentry equal to 30% of its maximum life. While this shield holds, the Sentry also deals 10% increased damage. Well, if you are following me for some time now, you already know that Demon Hunter is not my favorite class. But a build with sentries like Team Fortress 2 Engineer might be fun to play. I might try this for myself. Other than that, preventing people from using dash skill is kinda important. You can lock down a lot of wizards, monks and blood knights with that. We will see if these are going to affect the PvP meta. Next we have Crusader. Let's start with this Pant Essence. Draw and Quarter now causes you to mount your warhorse and dash forward a short distance, knocking back enemies in your path. You can activate Draw and Quarter again while you remain mounted. Next we have a Shoulders essence called Ferret Roots. Fist of Heaven's cooldown is reduced by 20% when you kill an enemy with it, and by an additional 20% if you kill a player with it. Cannot occur more often than once per cast. And next we have Offhand essence called Gates of Hell. Condemn deals 20% increased damage to enemies below 50% maximum life. And next we have a Chest essence. Condemn now conjures a condensed lightning storm that follows you, randomly dealing damage to nearby enemies. I am not sure, but this might work like Arcane Torrent on the wizard. And next we have a main hand essence. Falling Sword can now be charged, unleashing a Holy Blast wave to damage enemies. While charging, your movement speed is increased, and you are also immune to knockback and loss of control effects. The further you travel while charging, the attack also increases the damage it deals. And finally we have a Helm essence. Sacred Chain now also causes the first attack against chained enemies to deal 60% increased damage. Well, it's been a while since I played Crusader, so I can't really say how these essences are going to affect the class, but that Pants essence looks interesting. Dashing with your horse should be fun. And that Falling Sword essence can be really good as well. And next we have Monk, and I will start with the Chest essence. Cyclone Strike now creates a torrent of mystic wind around you, dealing damage to nearby enemies. Next we have a Helm essence called Blind Focus. Exploding Palm now also increases your damage by 10% for 4 seconds. Next we have a main hand called Calefaction. Shield of Sand now protects you or an ally with a shield of flames that absorbs damage and deals damages to nearby enemies, but it no longer provides immunity to loss of control effects. And next we have a Shoulders essence called Divine Burden. When flanking knocks an enemy into a wall, they are stunned for 2 seconds. And next we have a Pants essence. Flank Dragon maximum charges increased by 1. And finally we have an Offhand essence. Exploding Palm now dashes forward, burning enemies. Monk used to be my favorite class, and I was waiting for new essences to try it again. And now I am kinda excited to try these. Especially the Exploding Palm Offhand, the new Shield of Zen, and that new Cyclone Strike essence can create firestorms with all of these burn effects. Plus we can combine these with the good old Shimmerlin and make a dot build that uses the Banquet of Ice set. And now let's talk about Barbarian. First we have a main hand. Lacerate's attack speed is increased by 35% for 2 seconds each time you take damage. Next we have an Offhand essence. Wrath of Berserker now causes you to reluctate, dealing damage to nearby enemies when you are attacked. After that we have a Helm essence called Brace of Ancestors. Wrath of the Berserker now also causes your primary attacks to deal 100% of the damage done to nearby enemies. Next we have a Chest essence. Your primary attacks now increase the remaining duration of Sunder on enemies they strike by 1 second, up to a maximum of 3 seconds. Next we have a Shoulders essence called Nature's Temper. Wrath of Berserker now also causes your primary attack to consume your life, dealing additional damage with each strike. And lastly we have a Pant essence. Thunder now also pulls enemies to you. Well, I am not sure if these new legendary items will bring back Barbarian's old power, but I will make sure to try these. I am sure it's going to be better for PvE, but we will see how it's going to affect the PvP builds. And lastly we have Wizard, and I want to start with the Offhand essence. Electrocutes critical hits, immobilize enemies for 2 seconds, cannot occur on the same target more often than once every 3 seconds. By the way, this 2-second immobilize is gonna be 0.66 seconds in PvP. Next we have a Chest essence. Ray of Frost now dissipates into a cloud of frost against the first enemy it hit, dealing damage and chilling all nearby enemies. Next we have an essence called Frostbound. Frostfield now also shatters enemy armor, increasing the damage they take by 10% for 5 seconds. And next we have a Shoulders essence. Ray of Frost critical hit chance is increased by 35% against frozen enemies. And next we have a main hand essence called Lost Seconds. Slow time cooldown decreased by 15%. And finally we have a Helm essence. Slow time now releases a temporal ring that expands out from your location, incapacitating enemies struck by the ring for a few seconds or until they take damage. These essences might create new build possibilities for Wizard, and that Offhand can be the new best in slot for Battle Mage builds. I think these essences are really exciting for Wizard players. Well, I guess that's all for this one. Like I said, I will be trying new essences and builds on live streams, so don't forget to subscribe, and if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Take care.